And oh, you know what? I just opened up the bag and the sock is not in there because it's in my purse. So you know what? I'm not even gonna go get it. Let's just imagine. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 126 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today is January 18th, 2022, and it is a beautiful sunny winter day outside. It is like in the 30s, I think, and it is super windy. So we're up pretty high here in our apartment building, and you can like hear the wind rattling the glass and everything. So it's pretty crazy, but it's kind of cool, and it's gorgeous to have sunny weather because I was worried about a winter of gloom, and so far pretty good actually. It is, wait, what was I just gonna say? Now I don't remember. Well, anyway, I'm getting really jealous of everybody having snow because we haven't had much snow here at all. And we got a little bit of snow the other night and then it just rained and washed it all away. So I'm pretty jealous. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I was going to put on a sweater, but I'm actually kind of warm. So we don't have our heat on or anything in here. I think the apartment building just like, you know, they keep the hallways heated and the main areas heated. And so it makes our apartment warm enough where we don't need any heat, and I don't want to wear a sweater right now. So no sweater, but I am wearing a McKinney Knittery Getting Knit Done V-neck t-shirt. I think my uniform right now is still Costco joggers, knitting t-shirts, and occasionally a sweater. If I go somewhere, then I might actually wear some proper clothes, but because I work from home, this is what I pretty much wear every single day. All right, let's get started with some projects. So this is pretty nice because I recently organized all my stash and I organized my whips at the same time. So now all of my whips are in one of these IKEA baskets that go in the bottom of my like IKEA calyx shelf. So all I had to do was bring this basket over and I have all my whips ready to go. I have kept this organized for about 4 days and history shows that I don't do this for very long. So I'm gonna really try to keep this basket whips only or finished objects. I do have one sort of finished object to show in the podcast, and then just keep it really, really cleaned out and like my projects have to fit in there. That's the goal. So I have a semi-finished object this week. I have made 2 float tote cups. So these are the little cups that go inside the float tote. And I actually have a couple float totes here because I love having my projects in them at home. They're just really convenient for working on things at home, or if you just need to take like one project somewhere. So this is the 3 cup size. This is the 2 cup size. And what I mean by cups, it sounds like a bra, doesn't it? These are the cups. They are the little things that hold yarn. So you can see I've got like a full cake here, a partial cake here, and it's holding on to it. And then I've just got a smaller ball in this one. I'll talk about this project in a second. So that's what I did with yarn that I found in my stash. So I was cleaning out my stash and I found that I had just enough yarn to make 2 of these little cups. And I'm like, this is not enough, like, it's not enough yarn to just like keep in stash, right? Because it wasn't a full skein or anything. And I know I was keeping it around just to make these 2 little cup things, like yarn holders. And so I figured over the weekend, let me just make them up. They probably take 30 minutes a piece. And then that will be done. I won't have that yarn in stash and I will have 2 of these done. So I have a lot of different float totes. I already showed you I'm working from 2 of them right now. I also have my 5 skein one that I use pretty often. And I think that's it. I think maybe I have one more 2 skein size, but I don't have enough of these like cup things for all of them. What I've done is I've made like 6 or 7 of them, and then I just rotate them around. So if you are a fan of the float totes and you use the float totes a lot, you don't necessarily have to make these for every single one of them. You can just have a set of them. And then when I need them for another project, I just pop them off because they have magnetic snaps on the bottom of them. Pop them off and I put them into whatever size that I need right now. So I think my 5 skein one doesn't have any cups in it because I've got 3 in here and 2 in the other. And so now I have a couple more and I went ahead and like completely finished them. They've got snaps, metal snaps on the bottom. All of this is in the float tote pattern. These are my crochet patterns. And so yeah, I'm happy to have a few new ones. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but this one has these two actually, they're slightly different. I'm testing out a new way to do the cup. It's actually a simpler way to do it. Whereas for these, I have a part where you stop working in the round and you start working back and forth to create this dip because I wanted it to be easy to, let's say you have a smaller skein like this one. I wanted it to be easy for you to feed, that's what there you go, to feed your yarn out like this. So I created this notch, but I'm kind of wondering, is that even needed? And so I have decided to test this before rewriting the pattern. And I've created a couple of the cups without the notches to see how that goes. So stay tuned. At some point in the spring, I plan to kind of re-release Float Tote and kind of clean things up a little bit. And I might be changing the cups. It's not like a huge deal. Like I'm still going to keep all the ones that have the notches in it, but I thought that this would be nice if it's a little bit simpler. So I'm going to be testing those out. So partial finished object right here. The next thing I have, oh, you know what? I should have gotten a sock blocker for this, but I totally forgot to. I have finished one of my Sweetheart socks. So I have this still in my Disney bag from Molly Klein Design because I started these when we were in Florida. Actually, I didn't, but I thought that I was going to. So I have finished one Sweetheart sock. This is also my design. Here it is inside out. I was looking at some different things, so I have it inside out. So let me turn it the right way. All right. Love this. Okay, so this is the Sweetheart sock. It is an upcoming design. It's going to be coming out on February 1st. The yarn is Moonglow Yarn Co. So here we go. It is a sock set. And it's available right now. If you like the colors and you want to make this sock or a different sock, go grab it because the colors are super, super fun. So this is a colorwork sock. Again, it's going to be coming out on February 1st, and we're going to be doing the Sweetheart sock along with it. I will talk more about the actual make along in a second, but I was right here for the last podcast with my little sour gummy worm. That's from Whitney Marie Anderson, I think is the name. And so I finished up this foot with all the stripes. I think it looks really, really cute. So that is done. And then I started on the second sock. I'm doing these cuff down, but the pattern is written cuff down and toe up. So you can go either way. So I'm working on the second one and I'm kind of pausing here because I'm going to do a few different tutorials for the sock pattern itself that will be part of the pattern. So if you're, I'm not going to say it's going to be like a total colorwork tutorial, but I'm going to have tips in there. I'm going to have different things about how you can weave in your ends and stuff like that. So that one's kind of, I worked it to there, and then now I need to just set aside a few hours to work on the tutorials for that pattern. But lots of progress in the last 2 weeks on those socks. Also, I have been finally making some progress on my sea glass tee. So this is, I think it's called the sea glass tee, like 3 separate words, but it might just be sea glass. But I think it's sea glass tee because they also have a sea glass sweater now that's a long sleeve version and a DK weight version. This is the fingering weight version. And it's by Wool and Pine Designs. I have done just a few inches. There's my little hot cocoa stitch marker. I don't know who that's from. I've done just a few inches since the last podcast, and honestly all of this has been done in like the last couple of days because I was just busy working on some other things and work, and I finally decided, you know what, I want to get this finished, this sweater finished in February or in January. So in order to make that happen, what do I need to do? And I figured out that I need to do a 1 color per day, which is how this was originally intended to be knit anyway. So it looks super small because I've got it on 24-inch needles, but it fits. I've already tried it on. I need to try it on again now that I've done a bit under the armhole. So this yarn is also Moon Glow, and which one's this? It is part solid yarn. Well, it's all solid yarn, sorry. It's part like full skein Cottonwood Breeze, which I'm alternating with the Moon Glow Rainbow Advent Calendar. And I have the whole Advent Calendar in this bag, and I am on the 12th color, so the 12th day of Advent. So everything else is still in here in its bags, just waiting for me. And my goal now is to do 1 color per day. So 1 color is 8 rounds, and it's about 1 inch on the sweater. So what that's been looking like for me is typically in the morning, I am doing this video training thing. So while I'm watching the video training, or anytime I'm like watching through one of my own videos, when I'm done editing it, anytime I'm sitting down and just like watching something, I'm gonna work on this. So in the mornings, I've been able to do about 3 rounds. And then at night, I can usually finish up those other 5 rounds while we're watching TV, whatever. But because I know this is a daily goal for me, I have been just picking it up whenever I can, which is again why I love having it in the float tote, because I just keep the project here on top and then I go like this and I can carry it. You know, our apartment isn't very big, but from room to room, and it's really easy to just grab and go, and my yarn doesn't get tangled up because it's all in here. So that's what I've been doing. Let's see, I worked on it a little bit this morning, and it looks like I've already done 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I'm about to start the 5th round. So I'm already halfway there for today, which is great. This has been working out really nicely for the last couple of days. So I want to keep it up and keep it consistent so that I don't fall off the wagon here, because I really want to get this finished. I have so many exciting sweaters. After going through my stash, I'm like, I have so many things I want to make this year. So I am thoroughly enjoying the process, but I want to make sure like I'm doing it every single day. So that's my goal for that one. And I might do a couple of increases once I knit a few more inches, just because of my body type being much smaller on top than I am at my hips. But I've learned from some sweaters I did last year that if I do total Aline shaping, like keep the same ease the whole way down, that it looks too big. So I'm gonna try this on, and I might do like 4 increases and that's it, like, and then stop there, instead of doing like increase, 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 like all the way out on the sweater. So I'll keep you posted on what I decide to do here. I think it's gonna be a lot of like trying it on, seeing how it looks. But I've learned that I may want 5 inches of increase, or 5 inches of positive ease, of positive ease up here, but I might only want like 2 or 3 at my hips to make it look straight and nice, not too fitted, but not too big. So I'll keep you posted on that, and I'll put any notes that I have in my project page. I try to always do that just so for me it helps like looking back at it, even if I'm making other patterns, but also then if you want to try something, you can see exactly what I did there. Okay, just a couple more projects. I feel really good. I guess it's been 2 weeks, so it feels like, oh, I've done so much, because it's been a lot longer than it normally is in between podcasts. But I've really tried to give all my projects a little bit of love, and this one is turning out so good. Oh my gosh, I just love how it's looking. So let me start with the yarn. This is, we don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say this. You may know how to say this, but this is the yarn, and it is a fingering weight yarn. I'm holding double. This is the color number, but I decided to call it Confetti, I think, because I just wanted to have a fun name. Look at this. This is the Multnomah Falls hat pattern. Oh, who is it by? It is by Hawkins. Multnomah Falls hat by Hawkins. And we are knitting this hat in the membership this month. We're doing cables, so lots of cable patterns, and this is the pattern that we picked to do together. So many people have already finished it, but I have been slowly working on it. I made a few modifications on it. I decided to do a tubular cast on. I follow Andrea Mowry's 2x2 tubular cast on. I shortened the ribbing because it's supposed to fold over. It's supposed to be twice as long and fold over, but I'm really glad I didn't do that because look at my yarn. I'm getting really close to the end. So it's a DK weight pattern, but because I have so much fingering weight yarn in stash, I decided to split a fingering weight skein and hold it double. So throughout the whole thing, I'm just holding my yarns double like so. And you can tell, like you can see that it's doubled yarn, but it's not like that big of a deal. Like I think it looks fine. And I really like how these colors are looking in the cables. So I was back down here. Where are you, marker? My cute little sparkly Mickey marker. I love that. I got that in the Fangirl Fibers. I think it might have been in the 50th anniversary kit. Really cute. So I've done all of the cabling in the past couple of weeks, and I've stopped here because we are going to do a workshop on cables tomorrow with my membership. And so I've just barely started decreasing for the crown, but I think it's looking pretty good. It's going to be kind of like a little bit taller of a hat, I think. I mean, I still have a bit of crown to do, but I think it's going to fit really nicely. I ended up making the size medium after much debate, and I think that was a good choice because while the ribbing felt a little too big, I think the cables are just right. I don't know if I would have wanted to do anything smaller because it might have really stretched out those cables. I had to go down a needle size to get gauged though. So normally I don't swatch for hat patterns, and I honestly didn't swatch. I started the hat, realized that I was off on the gauge and had to start it over. So if I had swatched, I would have saved time. But yeah, so Multnomah Falls hat pattern, it's looking really good. I'm super pleased with how this is coming out, and I definitely hope to have that done for the next podcast. One more project here, and this one has not gotten a lot of attention. This is my Sockmas project, still in my Sockmas bag from Stitching Plaza. This was the exclusive bag for this past year. And, oh, you know what? I just opened up the bag and the sock is not in there because it's in my purse. So you know what? I'm not even gonna go get it. Let's just imagine. So this is the first sock. I'm already done with it. The second sock, I believe I'm doing these toe up, and the second sock is to like right here. It's in my purse. Oh man, I should have gone and gotten it. It's in my purse because I just have it to bring around with me in case I have some knitting time when I'm doing an errand on the train, pretty much none of which has happened in a while, so I could probably take it out of my purse. But anyway, I'm about to like right here, and this yarn is Mountain Mist yarn in the Castle at Night colorway from Sockmas 2021. So these aren't getting a lot of love, but I did decide that it would be really great if I could finish these socks, the Sweetheart socks, my design, obviously, the sweater and the hat, all 4 of my current whips in January. That would set me up really nicely for some of my other goals for the year, which are to work through stash, design patterns. That would kind of just really, not kind of, it would definitely clear my plate and get me set up in a good spot to start February nice and fresh. So that's what I'm aiming for right now. So expect to see more of the same next week, and then hopefully getting some fresh new projects in the weeks to come. I'm I'm really excited about this plan right now to kind of like complete things before I move on. It's feeling really good, so I'm gonna keep rolling with it. We've got a brand new segment of the podcast. Last podcast, I introduced you to one of the new segments. These are going to be monthly segments, and that was to set some like goals and dreams for the month. Now we're going to do a quick tip of the month, which is where I'm going to bring you a knitting or crochet tip that I have been implementing in one of my projects. So this is where I'm actually going to come off of the camera here, and you're going to see me give a mini tutorial. And this month's rather, is going to be 2 tips in 1. And it is going to be focusing on knitting in the round with 2 circular needles. So I'm doing that right now with my Multnomah Falls hat. I've actually got 2 sets of 24-inch needles on here. The reason that I'm doing that is because I don't really like to knit with a 16-inch circular needle. The tips on the end, the needle tips, are really, really small, and I find that that hurts my hands. Also, with cables, it's really challenging for me to do these large cables on such a short needle tip. So instead, I'm using 2 circular needles, and the bonus tip is that I'm going to show you a way that you can set this up when you don't have all of the needle sizes you need with your interchangeable set. So with that, let's go to our other camera angle, and I'm going to bring you this quick tip of the month. So this is what it looks like to have 2 circular needles. And I have one bonus tip to share with you here at the end. So 2 circular needles is really great for when you either don't want to work with really short tips on the 16-inch needles, but you need to do something small in the round, like a hat or maybe socks, a sleeve, whatever. It's also great if you don't have a long enough needle to do magic loop, but you do have 2 sets of needles. So sometimes people will use 2 16-inch needles. I like 2 24-inch needles because then I can include my regular 5-inch interchangeable tips. So I've got 2 24-inch needles here. So let me show you how this works, and then we will go into that bonus tip. It's actually really, really easy. I've got half of my stitches here on one needle. The other half is on the second needle. So if you've already got something in the round, you can start knitting your round, and once you get to the halfway point, drop one needle and pick up the other one, or you can transfer them like half and half. You can see the tail here is my beginning of round, so I'm halfway through the round. So when you go to work on 2 circular needles, you're always just working with the like same needle together. I'm never crossing these needles or transferring them. So I'm about to work, here's my working yarn, I'm about to work this set of stitches. I'm only gonna be working with this needle. The other one is just gonna be hanging out and like clinking on the table probably. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to slide my like feeder needle, my resting needle onto the stitches, and that frees up enough cord for me to bring this needle up to work on it. Again, I'm only working with one needle at a time. I am not even touching this other one. So now that leaves me free here to work across this set of stitches. So whatever my pattern is, I'm just going to knit across, and I'm going to speed this part up for you so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do this. All right, I'm approaching the end of this first needle. I've got 2 stitches left to do, and I just finished that whole set of stitches. So I'm going to then slide those stitches to the cord. I am done working with this needle set. Make sure you completely let that one go. And now we're going to rotate, continuing to work in the round. I've always got my working yarn coming from over here. And now I'm going to work with the second set of my needles. So again, these I never take this one and the one from the back and knit on the stitches from the front. It's always just using one set of needles at a time. So again, I would just slide that set of needles onto the stitches, bring, again, it's the same needle, bring it around and work across the next half. I love this method. It's really, really great. So here's that quick bonus tip for you. And that is, if you have a set of interchangeable needles, but you don't have like 4 tips of the same size, here's what you can do. You can see that my needles are different colors. Well, I don't know if you can see because the sun is starting to really come in here and give me all the crazy shadows. Actually, let me just, hold on. A little loud, a little loud. There we go. That helped. Okay. So you can now see that I have got 2 different colors of needles. If I bring them, there we go. You can see that. And that's because I have 2 different sizes of needles, okay? This is a really cool thing about whenever you work in the round, which we are doing now, is you will always have a feeder needle and a working needle. The feeder needle is the one that is going to be holding your stitches. The working needle is the one that the stitches are getting transferred onto. When I work these stitches, just imagine, I knit, 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 and this needle, this working needle, ends up coming out here on the right-hand side again, right here. And then again, when I work these stitches, my feeder needle is the same one, my working needle is the same one, and it just keeps going around and around. So only my working needle needs to be the correct size. My feeder needle can actually be a size smaller. You don't want it to be bigger. Either the same size or smaller for your feeder needle. This can be used for any method in the round, but it works really, really great for this because let's say this hat here, I've got 2 different size needles. I've got the size 5 needle, which is the one I actually need for the pattern, which is my working needle on both sides. So the size 5 needle is the one that ends up coming up and I work with it. And then the size 4 needle is the one that's always the feeder needle that the stitches are coming off of. So when you have an interchangeable set of needles, you may not have 2 sets of needle tips that are in the size that you need, in my case a 5. So I was able to use the smaller size as the feeder needle, and I made them different colors to help me remember. But the size 5 needle is my working one. The size 4 needle is always going to be the one feeding, and that way I can still use this 2 circular needles in the round method with just 1 interchangeable set. Okay, we've got some news, some announcements. The first is that there is a brand new video. I just looked down at my notes and it's the wrong thing. I wrote the wrong thing in here. Sorry. The brand new video is my new stash, organizing stash video, where I am working on my goal to eliminate stash in 2022. So in this video, I will take you through basically organizing my whips. I showed you I got them all into this nice little basket, which is great. I go through all of my stash. I get rid of some things. I make some plans for different things. And I am really just excited to implement this year. I don't know exactly how it's going to go, but I have a halfway plan. Halfway through the year, I want to eliminate half of the stash that I have now. And then from there, I'm going to kind of plan, where do I want to get at the end of the year? Do I want to get to 0 skeins? Do I want to get to 5 skeins? What's the deal? I haven't decided to restrict myself from buying any yarn, although I'm really not in the buying yarn habit anymore. So that should be relatively easy, but it doesn't mean that yarn doesn't come in. Sometimes I do receive yarn to create patterns or just different things. So I am really just working towards that goal of eliminating my stash, and that video will take you through kind of my thought process and share some tips with you, hopefully, if you are looking to do the same thing or something similar, or just reduce There's a giveaway in that video, so make sure you go and watch it. Follow the instructions for the giveaway if you would like some beautiful sweater yarn, and I will announce the winner of that giveaway in the podcast next week. Okay, the other thing that's coming up is we are going to have a make-along starting on February 1st. So let me grab this project again, and I will share a little bit more about the Sweetheart Socks. So Sweetheart Socks, we just talked about that this pattern is coming out on February 1st. Whitney of Moonglow Yarn, who dyed this kit, we're teaming up and we are doing the Sweetheart Sock Along all throughout the month of February. So there's a couple different ways you can participate, all by making socks. You can use Whitney's yarn, you can knit this pattern, and then there's a variety of other things. So I will link both my website and Whitney's website where you can get all of the full details, but we're casting on February 1st, and then we'll be knitting all throughout the month of February. We'll have some prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it will start with, the kit is already out for the yarn. So that will be down below too if you'd like to shop the kit. I think she's also got like DK. If you want to do DK, you just like these colors and you want to do a totally different project. And then the pattern won't come out till February 1st, but all the details on the make along are already out. So I think that's all the new stuff that's going on right now. So quick news segment. Let's talk about life updates. There's really not a lot to share because I feel like I haven't done anything. I mean, really, I have been just like working, knitting, watching TV. Not really that much to share. So 2 weeks went by for the podcast because I was gonna film last week and I realized I really had not done any knitting whatsoever. I don't really know what I was doing, what was taking up my time. I think it was just work and just some other things going on. And so I didn't do a lot of knitting. So all the work that you saw today is mostly from the last week. So I feel like only 1 week has gone by. It's really been 2 weeks. And honestly, things ebb and flow like that. It's totally okay. And I will always try to let you know on Instagram if a podcast is not going to be coming out. So my intention is to do a podcast every single week, but just know some weeks if I don't have any knitting, I am not going to get on here and blab about nothing, even though it may seem like that sometimes. Sometimes I just go on and on about all kinds of different things. We did do one fun thing this weekend. We went and saw some friends here in the city that are moving out of the country. So they kind of had like a going away party. It was really small. And honestly, it was probably the most responsible group of people that I have. I feel like I haven't been that, and this is always so touchy to talk about, but everyone was really responsible about COVID, and it was really nice to see. Almost everyone tested negative, of course, before they went, like did a test that day. And I was like, wow, this is so adulty of us. Good for us. I felt like that was just really great. And the people who didn't test were because they had been sick in like the month previous. And so they just, I don't know, I guess they didn't feel like they needed to. But it was just like a really great get together. We hadn't gotten together with friends since we got back from traveling for Christmas. So it had been a long time and we had a lot of fun. They cooked Spanish tapas and I think there was some like dishes from Chile, and it was just really good and fun and awesome. And it was kind of a nice highlight to the weekend. Other than that, we really just stayed home. I cleaned, I knitted, I watched TV. I mean, that's just literally all that I really do anymore. It's nice when you get to actually connect with people because man, it is just so hard to do nowadays. Okay. Watching, listening, and reading. I do like adding this into the podcast. So we have been watching Loki on Disney Plus. We actually watched and finished the entire thing in the past 2 weeks. Kent had already seen it, but I had not seen it yet, and I loved it. I think it's only 6 or 7 episodes. They're longer, like almost an hour, but it's really, really good. So if you're interested in the Marvel Universe, I would recommend Loki. We watched WandaVision before that, and then we watched Loki. I think next up on our list is we're going to try to watch like Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then there's one other one. I can't remember. But we're going to try to watch all of those so that we're ready for the Marvel movies because we really enjoy them. I have been continuing to listen to the Perfectionism Project, which is a podcast by Sam Laura Brown. I have a little more news to share on that in the next segment. And then I have been reading Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I don't know really what genre it is. It's not a lighthearted book though. Lots of deep, dark things going on. I'm about 50% of the way done, and it is our book for our membership book club this month. And so I love doing a book club because it kind of pushes me to read things that aren't young adult fiction or knitting cozy murder mysteries, although I like to, buffer those in between. So it's been hard. Like, I haven't been super interested in the book until about now. Now I really want to know like what's happening, what's going on. And so that's what I'm reading. And I will finish it up before the end of the month so that I can participate in our book club that's coming up. With this last section of the podcast, you guys gave me amazing names for it. I'm still having a hard time deciding on what to call it. We got like good vibes, positive vibes, highlights of the week, but I have settled on weekly wins because it is a space to share like joyous moments, but I'm also really focusing on celebrating things. Like, I want to celebrate things and recognize things that I have been working on and doing because I have such a hard time doing that for myself. And in doing that, I'm hoping to encourage you as well to look at yourself, your week, and what you have been, like what you should be proud of yourself for despite everything that is going on. So weekly wins, that's what we're going to call it for now. And I have 2 weekly wins to share. The first is that I have started a new course. Like, me personally, I'm taking the course on perfectionism. So I'm listening to that Perfectionism Project podcast by Sam Laura Brown. She offered a course, which is quite a big investment, but it's a coaching course. So there's even more content to watch and learn from. And I'm really excited to dive into it. I've been studying the course, like watching the videos every single day since I purchased the course. And today's the day where I finally get to get into planning for perfectionists. And I am so excited about that because every single day, honestly, for like the last year, I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what I should be working on. Like, what should I be doing? I wish somebody would just tell me what to do. And so I could do it. I don't have to make all these decisions. And then I'm like, I'm supposed to tell me what to do. I'm my boss right now. And that's been a really hard adjustment for me. So I think this is going to be amazing. And I'm really just proud of myself for starting. And I want to recognize that. And then I want to continue with the consistency. The other weekly one I have is that I have started training for a half marathon. The half marathon is actually really soon. It's in February. So I've known about this for a while and I keep just not like, I'll run for like one day and then I'll just fall off the wagon. So I'm planning to run the half marathon. I'm not trying to get like a great time. I'm just trying to finish and enjoy. Enjoy it. So I have started to consistently go to the gym here in our building on the weekdays and walking and running. It's already getting easier after just a few days. So I am considering that a win. And now I'm just working on the consistency for that. So there you go. Those are 2 wins for the week. I'd love to hear a couple wins from your week. Dig deep if you are having a rough week. Maybe it's something related to knitting. You finally tackled that project. Maybe it's just that, you normally have a hard time getting out of bed and you got up and got dressed every single day or one day. It's just, you have to look for things, I think, that you are doing despite your situation and recognize yourself and celebrate yourself for that and keep doing them. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's what I'm learning in my perfectionism class. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode, and I will see you next week. Bye.